Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation. Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 13th day of March here. We're a week away from March Madness. I've got to remind the Mad New Yorker. Hopefully we can do a show next Wednesday, and we'll probably do a replay next Thursday because March Madness will be next Thursday here. I'm going to talk about this week's biggest stories, and everything is about free agency, and throw a little bit of the draft questions in there because we're starting to get a feel for where everybody's going. So I've got the Mad New Yorker backstage. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty, the Mad New Yorker. Here, let me get the crowd here, get you standing up. And as negative as you are on the New York teams, I'm surprised they were that loud. And the great standing ovation there, brother.
You got nobody else to cheer for, so you're gonna bring it this way.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Hey, what do you think? I didn't really get into the Giants yesterday. What are your thoughts on the New York Giants so far with their offseason acquisitions as we just started this new year?
Yeah, so I mean, they're making some moves. They're trying to solidify the team there, try to make some replacements. But I mean, I guess they're just trying to get ready for the draft. I'm not sure what they're gonna do and how, what they're willing to do in the draft.
Yeah,
they picked up a lot of players on the defensive end. They picked up a lot of players on they picked up a few guys to try to build up their offensive line. But I mean, some of these names you see, they picked up on the offensive line. They picked up Forces, Sten. They picked up Hudson, and then.
What are your thoughts on those additions?
I feel like even picking up those guys, I'm not sure if you're a free agent quarterback that you're just going to want to sit back there in that pocket and go all out. Or I'm not saying these are bad picks. I just feel like these moves are made and they're looking for they're already looking to next year, like, because it's going to take time for that O-line to get synced. There's not really enough time in the off-season training to do and even before the preseason to do any of those things to solidify that offensive line. Even though these guys are veterans, You know, then you have to also figure out with your offensive coordinator and your team there, what quarterback do you have, and you know, what are you going to play? So, yeah, they're making moves. I'm okay with them. You know, I just don't see with the moves they make that they're going to win even more than 2 or 3 more games. Like, I think they'll still be back in the draft. They might have a lower pick. They might be in, you know, bottom 10.
Yeah.
I again, just because these guys, some of them are good, some of them are okay. It's just going to take time for all that to come together. And I don't feel like with the team the Giants have now and adding these guys, it's just going to be like the same situation that you have in Philadelphia and Washington, who are the top 2 teams that you're going to compete against. Those guys are bolstering up their depth, right? Yeah. They're already running on all cylinders. So the Giants got, you know, they're just trying to piece together a team, and then they got to get on the same page. They got to get competitive, and they got to get with what New York fan base is going to want, and that's you need to be winning. So I feel like that's a far stretch, and it's not going to be as fast as people want as far as fan base and even the team, but at least they're making moves. And I'm not sure if that's positive or negative yet. But like I said, in my opinion, I don't think they're gonna. I think if they improve, they're not gonna improve more than winning 3 more games. So they'll still be in the draft.
Yeah. What do you think about Javon Holland coming there at safety? They're really building up their defense, though.
They did stack up, and I'm thinking, you know what it is that they're so dominant mindset on defense that what happens too is that there's usually a lot of injuries on that back end, and I think they've seen that, and I don't know, I'm not knowing this, but I know from the past few seasons that field is still not the best field for those guys to be on. And they're still getting a lot of injuries over there. So I'm sure they're probably just stacking up guys to make sure that if something happens, they can spread that wealth out. Because that turf, it's been under scrutiny for a while now. And if I'm the owner, I just go ahead and buck up and get natural grass and just play on the grass, man.
How much would that cost? Why don't he do that already?
I just thought it's an easier way to save money. And on top of that, the Jets would have to also agree that they'll pay for that as well, because they'll be using the field.
Is it going to be a lot of money to do that?
I mean, I'm not the CFO there, and I'm not doing the finance. I know one thing about grass as a former soccer player is that it's a lot better on your knees than it is playing on turf. Especially on bad days, and these on bad weather days, these 2 teams play out in the outdoors where it's like probably the hottest time of the year in New York, like right before fall starts, and then you have the coldest times of the year, right before hard winter starts if you're playing in late December. So that affects the turf that you play on. Yeah, it's going to affect the grass that you play on, but it's not as hard on your knees as turf is. So we'll see what they decide to do, though, as far as, you know, the Jets making moves too. And that's, you know, as far as these teams are making moves, like, I feel like they're back or against the wall, you know. So it's good that they're doing something. Because
what do you think about the idea of Russell Wilson? Is that a good stopgap quarterback for your Giants there, per se?
Well, I don't know. We had this conversation before about Russell Wilson maybe 2 seasons ago, that he should have been here in New York. They should have spent that money, and it would have been something. Then you would already know what you got as far as a guy who could carry the team for at least 4 or 5 games, right? Now he's in the back end of his career. I feel like he still can get you 4 or 5 games himself. Like, you know, he's done it with Denver. He's done it with Pittsburgh. So, you know, at least you know you're getting those 4 or 5 games out of him. You know, those injuries are taking a toll on him. But do you need to risk it because if he does get injured, they've already signed a backup in Danny and what's his name, this pizza guy, this cutlets guy.
Oh, Danny Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito got signed. Again, so I mean, he's going to be a stopgap quarterback. He's not going to be your featured quarterback. So,
yeah.
I mean, with this team and what they're trying to accomplish, I feel like they're grabbing their straws now, and that's something that they're going to try to do as their leadership right now. But I don't think it's a good idea. For Russell Wilson himself, like, if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm trying to not be in any more of the media than I need to be.
Yeah,
he has one bad game, and they're gonna rip him a new one, man. And I don't think that he doesn't have the character to move on from that and not pay attention to that. I just think it's not necessary, knowing you're gonna be on a team that's not even competing for a playoff spot, because you already got to beat Washington and the Eagles at least once. And if you do, you're everybody's gonna be like, okay, that's a division, we're halfway there. That's winning 3 games. You still got to win 5 more games. And that's not gonna. And the schedule's not that easy this season. It's a little bit tougher for the.
There's nothing they can really do right now to compete with Washington or Philadelphia. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think on paper they can get as close as they can, but with the eye test and with the way that Washington, what they've been able to do and even replenish and stock up again, and the Eagles probably going to get a little bit younger and faster because they've got rid of some of their older players that were contracted with high.
Bradbury and Slayer gone. Yeah,
so I mean, I'm sitting here where I think we're going to be looking up for quite a couple of years, maybe 3 years. I said it once they brought in Daboll and Schoen. I said I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, and I don't think that's a good pick. So
So you get a sense that this is probably their last year, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I feel like ownership is not pressing anymore because they're like they got to let it ride, and they're going to do what they can to put something out on the field. And ownership's going to get upset because I'm not sure if they're going to be able to sell tickets. That's why they're holding on and trying to get like a big name quarterback to stopgap, right? Not because of the quarterback is going to take them to a playoff.
If they get Russell Wilson, do you see them taking a Travis Hunter at 3 if he's available? That's what a lot of the mocks I'm hearing are saying.
Right, and even with Aaron Rodgers, like, yeah.
Or Rodgers. Rodgers is looking at him too, yeah. He wouldn't have to move. It's the same stadium.
He's got a closet and a locker there just in case he wants to, hold off there. If you're over the age of 30 and you're a quarterback in the NFL and you've won a Super Bowl, are you willing to go to a season knowing that you're less likely to be in the playoffs, even if you get a younger player that you can throw the ball to?
Yeah.
Right. And money talks. I'm not going to say no because, I don't know. I've never been in that situation, and none of us have. Money does talk. It is appealing, but I feel like for someone like Aaron Rodgers, who has a legacy, to try to polish up before he calls it quits, I don't feel like he's going to make that kind of choice. And for Russell Wilson, I don't think he wants to be, and I don't think he needs to be in the media as much as he's been in the last 2 seasons, and he just wants to play football. So
yeah,
New York is not really a good spot for those guys to land on. And I mean, the only things that's going to entice him is going to be the money.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen with the Jets. And I said yesterday on yesterday's program, I thought that the Jets punted on the season when they signed Justin Fields. I mean, that just felt like,
I feel like
maybe wrong. I was wrong about Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield, but defensive-minded head coach Justin Fields, who cannot convert on third down, boy, you listen to the national media, and boy, they put off so much spin. Mike Greenberg, big Jets fan.
Right.
Oh, he can run. He can be himself here.
Right.
Did he do that in Chicago and get a shoulder injury? So I don't know what's your thoughts on that.
I think for the Jets, as far as getting someone who's young, they check that box. Getting someone who doesn't have to depend on the O-line, they check that box. The one thing they're not checking is themselves. There's a problem with the Jets and the Giants right now. Is their coaching staff is not working with the players that they have. So they're trying to do things and beat teams that on paper great ideas, but they need to be able to make those. You need to be able to make those adjustments, right? And those are things that they haven't done well in the last 2 seasons, both teams. So to get back to Justin Fields, on paper it's a good situation. This also allows Justin Fields to play in a division that's competitive, even if their team is not the best competitive team, right? So we have to see if he can raise the competition level, if he can be the quarterback that he was drafted to be. If he could be that number 1 quarterback that came out of Chicago for the first 3 games, and you're like, okay, this guy might get it.
3 games.
Right. Yeah. So and again, he's not old. He's still like under the age of 27. So he's got legs. So you gotta see what
you're hoping that he turns into a Sam Darnold who on his 3rd team, Baker Mayfield 3rd team,
right,
4th team or whatever. That's all you can hope for as a Jet fan.
I mean, look,
other than that, they're punting on the season and looking towards next year.
And that the thing is that they have their team is a little bit more established with the availability of weapons that are young, because this Jets team went for
Garrett Wilson played with him in college too, by the way. So
yeah, and this team, and this makes a big difference, I think. So I don't feel like it's punting away the season. And I'm not favoring the Jets to be in the Super Bowl, but I will say that this team went from the average age of 32 all the way down to 27 now with all those moves they made. They cut C.J. Mosley. Yeah,
too.
That makes a little bit of a. You have to consider that. And now you see, okay, you got younger players. You got fat. They're a little bit faster. The one thing they need to avoid is injuries, which is kind of tough, because all teams are going to have them when the season starts. But and the moves that they made on the O-line, getting Okafor, that's not a bad move. And then the defensive side to replace all those big names, they got Sherwood at linebacker. They got Brandon Stevens, and then the defensive end they got Weaver, which is they're not bad names. These are not bad players. So, and the thing is, they still are young. So, and I think Aaron Glenn wants that because he had that in Detroit. Remember, Detroit used those draft picks, used those trades, and we're building up and stocking up players and molding them and getting them going. And one of the things that they had to go through in the last 2 seasons where they're in the playoffs has been the injury bug, but that happens because you have no depth. So I think Aaron Glenn right now, he looks at a team and is like, okay, I got a good foundation. I can bring in some depth, and this is not going to fall apart on me like it did.
They do have decent lines. Both lines are decent.
Yeah. So but again, the Jets might win a few more games than the Giants, but I don't see them touching a playoff right now. The way
what is their over and under in your head for the Jets? Mine was 5, about 5-12.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No, I think they'll be.
They'll look good in September, then they'll fade about mid-October.
Right. No, I think they'll be between 7 and 8 games.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
crazier things have happened. You got a lot of young guys. Nothing. No real pressure.
Right.
Nobody's expecting either one of those teams to do anything, especially the Jets.
I feel like they have a little bit more of control as far as with the players that they had last year and this year. They'll have a little, and they have a little bit more depth compared to the Giants. And again, these 2 teams will be in the draft. The Giants will be probably around between 7 and 10, and the Jets will be between 10 and 20. So
that's terrible.
But you're not doing anything. You haven't done
Jets
anything.
need to be like 1 or 2.
You're not going to tell them to bet on the season like that, because they're the divisions that they're in, right, is what's going to actually determine their draft. The Giants will be in that 7 to 10 pick because they're in the tougher division, and the Eagles and the Washington are going to keep them in that place. AFC East is a little bit more open, but the AFC,
because Miami's still kind of flimsy.
Yeah.
New England's still rebuilding, and then Buffalo's really the only team.
Right.
I get a sense that a lot of teams are actually playing for next year because of this quarterback, air quote, potential quarterback class. So I got an opinion here on this and get your thoughts about. I looked this up on NBA draft or NFL draft buzz, for next year's quarterback rankings. Now, this is possible, guys, that could be available in the draft. Let's talk about the first 3 or 4 people here, okay? You got Arch Manning, who has not had one full season yet. So next year would be his full season, or September would be the start of his first full season. I doubt he even comes out. I think his uncles will probably recommend him. You probably want to stay another year because he's not got that many live snaps yet. So I don't know what this buzz is about next year. So possibly you want to X out Arch Manning.
Right.
The other one is
you got to add a caveat to that. The caveat is also that he's a top leader in NIL deals.
So he's making money.
Well, and the thing, if I'm his uncles, I'm like, take advantage of that, because once you come to NFL, you're not gonna be able to make that money until you're in the fourth, into the third or fourth year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they want him to get those snaps. They want him to be great. He don't have to worry about money. He's already got money. Plus, he's like you said, he's already got NFL.
Look, money begets more money. The only way to stay rich is to keep making it. So,
right. So the second one is Tennessee's Nico, the University of Tennessee. Right now, I love Tennessee. Love this kid, but he's a taller, slightly taller, maybe the same size, slower version of Trevor Lawrence, who's struggling in the NFL. Very mechanical. Don't know if he would come out. Don't know how good he would be in a pro system as well. But this is the hype for next year. I'm just telling you. And then the other one is Drew Aller from Penn State. They barely throw the ball. What is so good about Drew Aller? Do you have any good opinions about the Penn State quarterback, Carlos?
Drew Aller is one of those pros that they play the pro style system.
Okay.
And he's got that 10 to 20 yard throwdown. Like remember all the tight ends in the last 2 seasons have been pretty good.
From Penn State?
From Penn State. So
okay.
All he has to do pretty much is practice.
Tyler Warren's been really good, yeah.
Yeah, it's practice that long ball, right? And at the end, you're only gonna be good at the long ball if the person you're tossing it to is just as good as catching it, So that's one of those more interesting guys. If you go for him, you're not sure what you're gonna get. He does have an arm, but you know how much has he been able to use it? How much is he in practice with throwing a long ball? Not much at Penn State right now, but a lot of people take that risk in the NFL because if you're playing pro style and you're racking up yards and the 10 to 30, 40 yards on the short passes, and that's most of like what all the teams and what all the coordinators love to do anyways, right? So
yeah. And then the other guy is, I haven't heard of this guy, Lenore Sellers. Is that the player from South Carolina?
Sellers.
I can look him up real quick. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what school this kid. Okay. Yeah, South Carolina. That's who I thought it was. Okay, he's 19 years old. He would essentially been 2 full years. So I don't know if he would be ready. And the other one would be LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. I'm sure you've watched a lot of him. Not a bad quarterback, but this thing, Nico could stay, Arch Manning could stay. Drew Aller seems he don't impress me. Maybe this Lenore Sellers tears the world up this year. They had some good moments, and Nussmeier is just okay. He don't look like an all-world guy to me neither. So I if you see a team like a Tennessee or a Cleveland or a Giants, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't think twice about taking a Cam Ward, who's played 4 and 5 years in the league.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sanders, which every time I listen to another report, man, it feels like his stock keeps going down.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's going to be a top-heavy QB class.
For just those 2 players?
No, well, there's about 15 quarterbacks that are QB rating over 70%, which I think is what the bigger scope is, the bigger picture is for these scouts. Like you're mentioning the top 5, but the ones on the bottom end of that are the ones also that they're gonna keep their eyes on. Guys like
next year,
guys like King, Haynes King, and they got what's this guy, Connor Wegman. So Georgia Tech.
That guy's bounced around the league forever. Carson Beck's bounced around.
Right. Moss.
Gabe Kublik from who?
Miller Moss from University of South California, USC, and then Jackson Arnold out of Auburn. So like somebody, but they've been bounced around, but their QB ratings are over 70%. So
okay.
So those are the things that the scouts and the ownership are like, okay, this is going to be an okay class because these guys are going to come in with something, right? Where this QB class, you have maybe 8 guys over the QB rating at 80%, but most of them played on teams that haven't won much. Shedeur Sanders is one of them because he came in the Colorado team that was
like a 2-win team, yeah.
Yeah, and then they did what they did in Colorado, and so that's why that's such a big story. The Hurricanes have been for the last 3 seasons, they've been chomping out a bit of being competitive and trying to get back into the top of the ACC. So when you threw Cam Ward in there, and they were doing okay, but they lost those 3 games. Those kind of things. Even though they lost those games, Cam Ward had his stats, right? So those 2 guys are coming out of 2 programs that their numbers were high in, but the programs were not in like big bowl games. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but they don't play defense,
Yeah, but a scout and an owner is going to look at numbers and statistics and the analytics. They're looking at the analytics and they're like, well, and then they're going to compare their analytics to their quarterbacks, and they're going to be like, can we add this quarterback to our team, and what do we have? If anything, if we choose these guys to come to our team. Look, again, on paper, everything looks nice, man. Everything looks like great. I don't know if I need to remind people from the New York Giants, the fan base, that there were a couple of years that they were trying to get a running back here, to replace Otis Anderson and then Rodney Hampton, and they took on the Tyron Wheatley. He didn't do that well.
Well, you're going way back.
No, think about that, right? And then that was a running back,
yeah.
Tyron Wheatley.
You're going back to the Dave Maggott era.
Yeah, that was a little bit. Maggott's a little bit before them, but then and then they got this guy from Oklahoma. He was one of the best running backs. Not Oklahoma. I'm sorry. University of Wisconsin and Rod Dane. Right. They just kept trying to hit on a running back, and it wasn't either of those guys. They hit on a running back who. People are like, well, who the heck is Tiki Barber? Oh, yeah, he has a twin brother. That was like one of their biggest stories.
Minus the fumbles.
Yeah, but Tiki Barber wasn't like a high-end draft pick. You know,
Yeah.
so like.
So we'll back to my question. Would you be one of those people to punt on these quarterbacks this year and take a chance? You sound like you want to take a chance with them. My thing is, you had a better chance of punting towards 27, where there's a very good chance that Arch Manning comes out, and you then may have DJ Lagway from Florida, who looks good already. If he keeps progressing, he was a true freshman this year. I think he's got the snaps under his belt where I think that guy could be one of the best Florida players ever at quarterback, if you ask me. He looks that good already, DJ Lagway.
Look, I've seen this guy, this GM, be at different places in college. Like, he was talking to Milton at one point from UT, and I was like, oh, maybe.
I knew Milton had a very slow delivery.
I was like maybe, maybe he'll come to New York. Like, but that's their job. They're supposed to talk to these kids. They're supposed to talk to their to these scouts, and they're supposed to be out there and find, like, my thing is, of all the information that you're getting in the position that you're in, we're not here to build people's careers. The New York Giants and the Jets are not designed to build people's careers. That's not what their fans want. The fans want to win championships.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then you got to go somewhere else and do it. And then maybe when you're ready, the Giants and the Jets will pick you up. Because at the end of the day, when they do get players, most of the time, because it hasn't been for championships lately for the Giants and for the Jets, we won't even mention that.
Yeah, 68.
It's about selling jerseys. It's about business, right? And selling tickets. So it's time for these owners to just change the culture, change the idea, and it's like, let's not just worry about selling jerseys. Let's try to get a team out there that's competitive. Because the last competitive team we had a quarterback that nobody wanted, right? We had a quarterback in Sanchez, right? Right.
Yes.
And it was the defense that in the running game that helped him as a rookie quarterback, and that was competitive. And then from that point, the butt fumble happened season after that, and then that was it. And there was no more competitive football for the Jets.
Yeah.
Right. So we went from Brett Favre to Sanchez to, that's it. And then you go back to try to get Darnold, try to get the Wilson, and now Aaron Rodgers. So, it's everybody knows it's a revolving door right now. So, you want to be competitive. You want to be championship culture. You want it. And now in your division, if you're the Giants, you have to compete with, forget about Dallas. They're gonna, that's the biggest team that has the most money. But
Philly and Dallas they're going down in the tubes too.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about Darnold going to Seattle? We got to rapid fire this thing. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, well, it's good for Darnold to if they weren't going to pay him in Minnesota, go someone that pays him, and then he still actually has abilities to have that team firing. They got good weapons over there.
Do you think it's going to make a jump? Do you think it's going to make a jump from? We're talking 34 touchdown passes versus 21 from Geno Smith.
Yeah, he might go a little bit more than Geno Smith. Now, again, they're playing in the West Coast. Darnold's from there. He knows the weather there. He's a California kid, so
he did play for USC. That's a good point.
He knows, and he's played up and down that division in the Pac-12 back then, so he knows what to expect to play in those places, and he's gonna be okay, man. He's gonna be. He's gonna do what he does as long as he, stays. As long as they allow him to play within his skills. If they go out and try to make him a quarterback that he's not, that's something that Darnold. You saw that he's not.
I think they're in position to make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, they have a good opportunity, but again, they got to play within the means and let him be the quarterback that he can.
So you're okay with this trading away, Geno? Okay.
Yeah, to a certain point, he played up to his potential there. You saw that the confidence builder was his old coach. He didn't have the same confidence coming in. There's some games where you're like, well, you could take over this game, Geno, and he would just, pass, make some passes and then like throw the ball out, and you're like, oh, what happened to the legs? Use your legs a little bit, and it's just something that he wasn't comfortable with. And now like you move on from that, right?
Don't you think that the big selling point for Seattle was going back to last year when Darnold made that drive late in the fourth quarter, down by 4? Remember, you took Minnesota that week. I took Seattle like an idiot. And they went down there, took the late lead, and, of course, Geno Smith turns the ball over like he does. And I think maybe they thought, wow, if this guy's available, we probably need to upgrade at that position. I think that was the pivotal moment for John Snyder and that Seattle coaching staff.
Yeah, and again, this is a kid that's played and is from the West Coast. So he wasn't not aware of and I remember that was a thing I told you too. I was like, yo, that Darnold's from the West Coast. He's played in that.
He played University of Washington, I think, every other year, if I'm not mistaken, not every year.
Right. So I was like,
and Oregon. So,
the Northwest is tricky. There's guys that can play in it and there's guys that can't. So, and I feel like Warren
Moon, it's a good one. I don't know how far they'll go, but I do think that even though they lost DK and they lost Lockett, they still got Smith-Njigba, and they got Bobo. Bobo can step up.
I'm glad you mentioned his name. I think Bobo is going to be his blanket.
Old nose receiver.
Yeah, he's going to be that security blanket that Darnold needs because he's a long kid with good hands, man. And I don't think Geno Smith was using him as much as he should have. So.
That's cool, man. What do you think about I think the Titans had made a really good move signing that left tackle there from Pittsburgh. May have overpaid him a little bit. But, by the way, I'll be on Ralph Williams' show talking about this on Tuesday on his program for a minute. I like it. That's a position I'm okay with overpaying for, left tackle. Even if he's graded as just slightly above average, you can move Latham back to right and move him to left, and then you turn around and put this Zeichter guy. They added some depth there at guard. This sets up for potential Cam Ward #1 overall. What do you think about the Titans really putting that emphasis these last few years on the offensive line? Chad says not Bobo, smiley face.
Look, Bo will be all right, Chad. And the Titans, I think the Titans needed. They look like they're building up their O-line to have Cam Ward come in.
Yes, so you're with me on that then.
However, if you could sneak a deal and build that depth, you don't have to worry about selling them jerseys, man. You're going to be a good young team. And that's the formula that we talked about that's hard to replicate that the Eagles did. Right now, Tampa Bay's kind of on that formula is be under the age of 27 and have a lot of depth, have a lot of guys there that are good players and have a balanced offense and a balanced defense.
So you would like for potentially to trade that pick?
I would if they can sneak a pick and get a high end D lineman or a high end
Bill Carter at 3 with the Giants.
Like get a couple third rounders, third and a fifth. Because you're gonna get some of these rugged players that just don't get an opportunity to be in the top 20.
I want that 26th or 27th first round pick too.
Yeah, so buck up, Tennessee. Don't be down. You'll be back up. You're in a division that allows you a lot of leeway to make moves, right?
What's your thoughts about Daniel Jones? Could he beat out Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
In the Colts land, that's actually going to be a actual competition.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a competition. I think these guys are going to stick with Richardson. He's not. Okay. He hasn't done too bad when he's healthy, and I think that one of the things in the knocks was him like keep yourself healthy. Listen, kid, you got the legs, fine. You got an arm, fine, but you can't run. You can't run into other people and throw the ball. You can't run at people and try to get a first down. Those are things that you did when you was in high school that's not going to work in the NFL. So even in college, even if he did some of that stuff, like he has to now show his maturity. He has to now show that he's in it in the long run. And again, this is another quarterback that they did not use him for his skill level, right? They just had him do everything and try.
Could he have a breakout year like a Mayfield? Could this be one of those situations like Darnold did last year?
Yeah, I think
Steich's pretty good. Could use his skill set.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that when he came out, remember we talked about him that he was all over the place. The number one thing that he was an athlete, right? The number one reason that you would pick him first is because he would grow, or you can mold him to be a quarterback that you wanted. And the injuries have affected him the most because he's not on the field. So if I'm him, if I'm his representation, I'm looking at the best QB, the QB gurus, and I'm going to these summer meetings, and I'm just doing the best I can to pick a style, Richardson, pick a style, and focus on that style for the next 3 seasons, and then you'll be okay. But if you focus on, I'm going to get better at throwing the long ball, or I'm going to get better at the run game, or I'm going to get better at throwing short game stuff. No, just pick a style, go with the QB guru, get you in there, and then you'll see growth. You can't be all over the place doing all kinds of things, because even if Mahomes is that type of player, he has a certain style that he pertains to, right? So, which is like a West Coast offense. So, he's just a runner in the West Coast offense, right? So Richardson has to do that. He has to set his mind.
Yeah, but he's got him. This is a pivotal year for Anthony Richardson. I think he could get beat out in camp because this is year 3 for him.
I've seen Daniel Jones play. I know what kind of player he is. And even if he wins the competition, Richardson will still be QB at the end of the day.
Okay.
Plus,
you never know, man. Different system.
Yeah, but Daniel Jones, one thing that he's always lacked is confidence.
Okay.
And once he gets injured or gets taken down, he takes a longer time to get back in the game, build himself up. So if he could change that by himself, he'll be a good quarterback, a good backup quarterback. But other than that, if he's going to play the same way he played last year, the year before that, and the season before that, you already know what you already know what bag of goods he has. So
what do you think about Houston trading their left tackle? I think that's a little risky, but it's got like 4 or 5 picks, I want to say, that the Commanders gave for Laremy Tunsil. That was a big trade, man.
That was significant.
I mean, it's great for Daniels, but aren't you a little concerned about Houston with Stroud there? I think I am with that defensive culture there.
Right, and I think for one of the reasons is that it was more about money and than anything else, because you got to pay Tunsil. He is, for whatever you don't like the kid and how he came out from the draft, he's not a kid anymore. He's a grown man.
Well, he's 30 now.
Yeah, he's one of the reasons why your running game and your quarterback is situated.
Yeah,
and so you got to pay him, and he requires a lot of funds. And the Texans were like, let's bounce and get out of this before it becomes bigger than what we can handle. And I think that's a situation there. Yes, Stroud's going to be affected by it. The running game is going to be affected by it, but it was probably one of the best deals that the Commanders have made to just make sure that Daniels can stay upright a couple more seconds, and he don't need that much time. You know that he's got a cannon of an arm and a quick trigger. So this is just one of the best deals that Washington has made in the last 3 seasons, man. It's like, okay, they just and you got a championship caliber type of player now because he's mature and he's been in the playoffs. So he has confidence. You got a guy that's confident about playing his position and being hard-nosed at his position. So look, if Washington, they will probably win the division next coming season.
Well, they've got to solidify the defense. They got Ken Law from 49ers. Mm-hmm. They need to go all defense with the draft picks they have left. They've traded away some. They still got the first-round pick. I'd go all defense there, kind of go with that Rams model there.
Mhm.
Pay your offensive guys that are vets. Get your defensive guys on rookie contract. That seemed to work with Jared Verse there. And that Rams team, I'm real high on this Bears team. You know,
I heard.
really,
Yeah.
What do you think about 3 offensive linemen, including Joe Tooney from the Chiefs? Even though he's 32, this guy's a 17-game guy.
Yeah, I think you've been talking to John Riscotto a little too long about the Bears. I think
John's down on all this stuff. I don't think John's too high on it, but I'm pretty high on it.
Yeah, no, I think the Bears are going to be the Bears. And me saying that is saying like that division's ultra competitive. But they're all at the same level. They don't make each other better. So when they get out of that division, you can see where they're at, which is kind of not good, not great, but at least you get to see them when they play outside of the division, how good they can be. Because they'll sit down and play a defensive-minded, slow-running game, all of them in the same division. So I think the Bears have an opportunity to do things, but they got to score points, man. Robert, they got to score
They're going to score points, man. You know?
I mean, you can't be Caleb Williams running with the ball in your hand sideways for the first three quarters. You can't do that. You got to throw the ball. You got to run forward, and you got to make ground up, and you got to put the ball in the end zone, man. So that's the only thing. It's like I like some of the moves they're making, but I want to see in the preseason and in the first game, I want to see them.
Yeah.
I want to see 33-10 from the Bears. If you give me 33, 27, and 28 the first 3 games,
yeah.
I might jump on that train. But if you're not hitting those numbers, and it's gonna be 12-7 and 21-14, I can't with you. Not this year, not this season. It's like,
I think they're a playoff team. I really do.
Man,
They're
you
young, hungry.
You know Chicago, everybody's ready, but they're like New York's Bills, man. Everybody's high on them, and then they just kind of flat out.
Minnesota, they've added some players. They got to figure out McCarthy. Do you think they should get Rodgers or just try to roll with McCarthy this year?
If they're going to get a quarterback, I don't think it'd be Rodgers. They weren't willing to pay Darnold for the 21 mil, whatever it was. I don't think they should pay Rodgers anymore. He's really hadn't accomplished much, and he's still kind of recuperating from that leg injury. So, listen, you putting all your eggs in one basket for this guy, JJ McCarthy. That's a big no if you're a GM. I'm sure you're gonna find somebody for sure that you're gonna bring up there. But I wouldn't. This guy hasn't played one snap in the NFL, and you traded away all your assets, man. It's like, I get it. It's definitely a financial thing for Minnesota. But listen, like you can only be competitive for so long. Your window is shutting quick, and you're playing in an indoor facility. So come on, man.
Well, it's a wait and see approach with them. I'll probably just try to roll with McCarthy. I think he's going to be okay with this meniscus thing. Maybe they pick up another vet somewhere, but I trust O'Connell, man.
Yeah. Well, you think they'll pick up like Gardner Minshew?
No, I think he just signed with somebody else today.
Did he? Oh, good. Look at that.
I think he signed with like the Chiefs, actually.
Gardner Minshew is one of those. He's like
the mustache, the stash.
What's that guy that played on almost every team? And I think he's one of the players.
Oh, no, he retired.
What was his name? He played for the Jets.
Oh, Fitzmagic.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, man. Like he's just his.
He played for the Titans. He played for the Dolphins.
I think there was like only two teams he hadn't played for.
Yeah, it is. Gardner Minshew plays with the Chiefs now, Mr. Mustache here.
Ooh, I don't know if that's a better deal for him than it is for the Chiefs.
It is. So some interesting stuff. Let me make sure I got everything. I sent you a bunch of questions here.
Oh man, yeah, you threw me the book here.
So next week, can you come on Wednesday? We can talk the NCAA tournament because next Thursday is the big tournament.
Right. Yeah, we'll be talking to Johnny's next week. Let's do it. Put it down
Yeah, we'll
on
talk
paper.
the Final Four. I haven't watched a lot of college basketball, but the SEC's here in Nashville, and it was quite a good crowd downtown today.
It's exciting,
You know?
bro. They're playing at MSG. It's tonight's the game too, right? Tonight
For the big, what is it? The Big Ten?
I think Butler's playing tonight.
Okay. The Big East. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's gonna be look. It's popping, bro. And then so we getting. It's a lot of sports going on right now, and I'm not getting any sleep. I'm even watching women's sports. I don't know why, but
Oh, really?
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Baseball's coming up, and it's just a lot.
So, okay. Oh, let me get that question since we got through our questions. Is the Yankees season over already with Garrett Cole with the Tommy John surgery?
So I'm gonna put it this way: they will not be in the first half of the playoffs. They will, if anything, they'll probably get on the back end. They made a few moves this year to solidify their pitching. The Stan thing I don't think is gonna hurt them too much. He was if he did good, it was probably an extra plus for the team, but they could be in third place with a playoff, wild card. So because they'll make a few moves, and I've been optimistic about their young guys for the last 3 seasons, and this is an opportunity for them to pick up and show the fact that they're top-rated prospects and now going to be regular players in the majors. So, guys like Cabrera, Perez.
So you're not ready to write the Yankees off because they're the Yankees?
Oh,
They'll go out and make a move.
Yeah, they're starting to feel like the Jets and the Giants for me a little bit. No,
those in the World Series last year.
Yeah,
they buy their way out of problems.
And they don't care about writing a check. But the thing is, it's not just that. And
of course, Soto's with the bets. I don't know. I think the New York baseball is good.
Yes, it's gonna be exciting to watch New York baseball. It's kind of like a little doom and gloom right now in the papers and the media because of the high expectations for the Yankees. The Mets also have just got an injury for one of the young catchers, and Francisco Alvarez. He'll be out for 8 weeks. Got a wrist injury. Look, it's baseball. It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I say this all the time. I'm optimistic about the youth programs that they've had in the minors for both teams. I feel like both teams have enough youth and players in their developmental leagues to help carry the rest of the team to where they should be. I feel like the Yankees will come in third place and the Mets might come in second place in the National League. With the Yankees, one of the things with them is that one of the biggest crazy scenarios is that only 30% of the roster is what they had last season. That's crazy because due to injuries.
Really? The Yankees only have 30% of their roster?
From the difference.
Well, they lost Soto. That's a big one.
They lost Soto. They have injuries, and they made trades and moves, and so.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Just wondering if they could trade Giancarlo Stanton for somebody.
Nobody wants that contract, bro. That contract is
they're only one crazy enough to take it, other than the Dodgers, and Dodgers are maxed out.
They had top loaded that contract with guarantees and front money that it's hard to just cut them loose and not take a loss.
What do you think about? I sent you this text the other day. What's the buzz about Mikal Bridges says he asked Tom Thibodeau to back off a bit on the starters' minutes because the bench deserves more?
Yeah, and we talked about
it for years.
Yeah, we've been talking about this. I said every season, like, bro, use your bench, use the young guys, get them in the mode, get them in the competitive.
You think Thibodeau's listening? That was a few days ago.
Thibodeau is like one of those guys. He gonna do what he's gonna do, thinking that what he's doing is the best thing that he's got to do. And that should be on a T-shirt with Tom Thibodeau's name.
That's a mouthful.
So at the end of the day, this guy has been to 3-4 different NBA teams as a head coach and still hasn't learned that you need 10. You should be 8 to 10 players deep to make a run for a championship.
That's true. That's
right?
true. Ask the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. So I don't know what I don't know what you haven't learned in those times being a head coach that's not true, because the playoffs is another season, man. And you got these guys on the bench who haven't played maybe.
When is Jalen Brunson coming back?
Yeah, it's another thing, man. It should be back in the next 3 weeks.
3 weeks? I thought it was going to be 1.
Yeah, but I say 3 weeks, meaning like 100%, not like 60, not like 40, 60, 100, and
he's wearing him out, man. Thibodeau's tripping. I mean, right now it's.
Well, I say this. I'm glad that somebody actually stepped up and was like, yo, bro, we getting paid millions, but we if you want us to play, they're averaging 30 plus minutes a game.
Yeah,
that's big. Like if I was the coach,
and they're getting beat by all the good teams, too.
Right? If I was the coach, I played them 25 to 30 minutes. I pay them 10 minutes less and give those 10 minutes to the younger guys.
Yeah,
I mean, because most of those games I watched a few, and most of those games, the problem is that when they get a lead, he's running them. Thibodeau's running them. When the Knicks are in the lead by, I'd say, about between 5 and 10, he's like, okay, I'm gonna keep these guys in, and then all of a sudden the guys are tired.
They gave that game away against the Lakers about a week and a half ago.
No, again, when these guys get tired, then he's like, oh, I got to put in some guys in the back, and then those guys are trying to get in a rhythm and trying to shoot, and they're throwing up bricks, and you're like, what's going on? And then the other team comes back because they're getting rebounds and they're finding holes, and come on, man. Come on.
He don't have any patience, and I got a feeling they're going to end up firing him, Oh, there's a rumor they still may go after Giannis at the end of the season.
Oh, good crazy. We don't need the Knicks. They don't need more firepower. The Knicks need to use the team that they have to the full. I would like to see what the team can be if they use the full to the full like capacity, right?
Yeah.
It's like having this huge arsenal and not having any bullets, or having 2 bullets, and then you're like, yeah, I tried to win a war.
Yeah, it's going to be unfortunate because I was hoping he would evolve as a coach.
He made a couple steps the last 2 seasons, getting these young guys in, but he was forced to do that because of the injuries that came on to Randall,
right,
and the other guys, and then even Brunson was out for a few weeks last season. So it's like, I thought maybe he got it. Maybe, he bit the cake and liked the sugar and the taste, but this guy's as sour as a lemon, bro.
All right, man. So next Wednesday at the same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Have your bracket ready.
I'll definitely have my Final Four.
Ooh.
I don't know about a bracket. That might be a little boring.
Well, you want to go?
We'll definitely go into the Final Four and maybe talk some, sleepers or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do the Final Four. You don't want to do Sweet 16 and break it down?
Maybe Sweet 16, but not get too bracket crazy.
No, you know what it is? It's like when you start,
because you never know, there could be some football news too. When you're talking. Rodgers, although he's talking about taking a month off. If he told me that, I'd be like, dude, just go work somewhere else, man. He's Russell Wilson, dude.
He got an Airbnb there in Peru, chilling on the ayahuasca right now. So.
Yeah, in Egypt.
You should check it out. You looks like you'd need a little, some R&R.
Right. All right, yeah, I need it, brother. All right, the Mad New Yorker, everybody. Appreciate you, buddy. See you next week. And I will see you all next week. I want to thank you all for coming on and being patient with everything. And have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the games.